Hello guys, Sasa. Welcome back to LifeLens TV and my name is Jennifer Harrison. Now, imagine waking up to find out that one of the most powerful and, let's say, covert figures in the UAE is linked to a potential takeover of some of Kenya's most critical assets. Sound like the plot of a spy thriller, right? But this is no movie. It's real, and it's happening right now. Let's dive into this. At 9:07 a.m. on Sunday, September 22nd, President William Ruto's economic advisor David Ndii dropped a bombshell. He casually posted a story on his X account, formerly known as Twitter, announcing that Abu Dhabi's International Holdings Company, or IHC, was injecting some serious cash into the Adani Group, the Indian giant that's been stirring controversy over its bid to control key national assets here in Kenya. We're talking about assets like JKIA, our national gateway. Now, Dr. Ndii didn't provide any further comments on this eyebrow-raising post. But here's where things get even more interesting. Just days before, it was revealed that Ndii's wife, Mwende Gatabaki, is a shareholder in one of the companies awarded a massive 104 billion Kenya shillings contract to implement the universal healthcare IT system. So, clearly there are some very intertwined interests here. But let's focus on the heart of the matter. This post from Dr. Ndii shines a spotlight on someone you may not have heard of.
I'm coming to Mumbai.
Tahnoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan, also known as the Spy Sheikh. And yes, the nickname is every bit as dramatic as it sounds. Tahnoon isn't just some random royal figure. He's the son of Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, the founder of the UAE and a majority shareholder in IHC. Oh, and did I mention, he's also the brother of the UAE's current ruler, Khaled bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. To put it simply, Tahnoon is very well connected, both to wealth and power. Not only is he the deputy ruler of Abu Dhabi, but he also serves as his brother's national security advisor. And that's where his spy reputation comes in.
Namaste, India.
Yeah, Tahnoon's probably not the guy you want to post your political hot takes around unless you enjoy being part of some top-tier cyber warfare. But jokes aside, this is serious. Tahnoon has his hands in some major deals with Kenya, deals that could impact the country for the next 30 years. These agreements cover everything from healthcare to transportation and energy, touching the lives of over 50 million Kenyans. And while the details are still unfolding, the fact that these sectors are in play under President Ruto's administration has raised more than a few eyebrows. So, the question remains. Who's really calling the shots behind these massive investments? And what does it mean for Kenya's future? Let's break that down further, because the deeper we go, the more intricate this web of power and influence becomes.
How are you, sir?
So, what do you do when billion-dollar deals are being negotiated behind closed doors, involving some of the most powerful figures in the world? Well, for Kenyans, this isn't just theoretical. It's reality. And the key player at the heart of all this?
Namaste, India. I'm Tahnoon.
None other than Tahnoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the Spy Sheikh, whose reach extends far beyond his home in the UAE. For months, the Kenyan government has been quietly negotiating deals worth a staggering 485 billion Kenya shillings with foreign firms. And guess who's tied to all of them? Yep, Tahnoon again, through IHC, the public joint stock company based in the UAE. The man owns a hefty 61.1% of IHC through his PAL group of companies and also serves as the chairman of its board of directors. Now IHC has its hands in all three major deals that have been causing quite a stir: agreements with the Kenya Airports Authority, the Social Health Authority, and the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company. What's raising eyebrows isn't just the scale of these deals, but how they've been conducted, in secrecy. And, to make matters murkier, some of the key shareholders in these companies have a bit of a colourful history with financial scandals. Naturally, Tahnoon stands to benefit thanks to his close ties to India's Adani Group, another giant player in these discussions. If these deals go through, billions are expected to flow, and the Sheikh will get his cut. But wait, it gets more complicated. Let's rewind to 2021.
If you treat this disease normally, it will treat you.
Remember when Kenya, like most of the world, was grappling with partial economic shutdowns due to COVID-19? A local company, Dinless Pharma, led by health entrepreneur Jayesh Saini, got the green light to distribute Sputnik V, the Russian COVID-19 vaccine. Sounds legit, right? Well, not quite. Just weeks later, Russia's own Moscow Times dropped a bombshell, revealing that the Emirati royal family, Tanoon's clan, had secured a global deal to distribute Sputnik V. To make things even sketchier, it turns out the batch Mr. Saini had brought into Kenya was delivered directly from the UAE, not Russia. Now, when even Russia denies sending you a product, you know something's up. It's like ordering a knockoff designer bag from some shady website, and even the designer says, "Yeah, we definitely didn't make that." Kenya eventually revoked Dinless Pharma's permission to distribute the vaccine, but the whole incident left behind some big question marks. Where did the vaccine come from? And what kind of deals are going on behind the scenes? So, when we talk about the influence of foreign powers in our local deals, it's not just about health or infrastructure. It's about control, secrecy, and a whole lot of money. So, just when you think the connections couldn't get any more tangled, here we are again, 3 years later, and the same familiar names are back in the mix. This time it's tied to Kenya's big push for universal healthcare. Last week, Safaricom announced it had secured a major contract worth 104.8 billion Kenya shillings as part of a consortium with Apero Limited and Convergens Network Solutions. They're tasked with developing an integrated healthcare technology system to support the government's universal healthcare coverage plan. Now here's where things get interesting. Rufus Marundu Maina, who's a director in companies linked to Jayesh Saini, yes, the same Saini from the Sputnik V saga, holds similar positions in 2 companies created by Apero for this deal. One of these companies, Apero Kenya Technologies Ltd, has directors with no shares, including Judy Mwenda Gatabaki, an IT pro and the wife of Dr. David ND, President Ruto's top economic advisor. But it goes deeper. Apero Kenya Technologies Ltd and its sister company, SIH Africa Ltd, are subsidiaries of Sirius International Holding, which is owned by none other than IHC, Tanoon's baby, and both companies were conveniently incorporated just this July. So, what's really going on here? These business ties raise serious questions about who stands to gain the most from these billion-shilling healthcare deals, but there's more to uncover. And just like that, we're peeling back yet another layer of this billion-shilling puzzle. Not only are healthcare deals in the spotlight, but it seems our airports might also be up for grabs. Let's break this down. At the heart of SIH Africa Ltd, which is tied to these healthcare contracts, you've got 2 key figures, Mr. Lambodran and Nishant Mishra, each holding 500 shares in trust. Meanwhile, Rufus Maina, though a director, has no shares in the company. Now, here's where things take a turn. Members of Parliament, MPs, have stepped in, urging Attorney General Dorcas Oduor not to approve this 104.8 billion Kenya shillings deal. Why? Well, tests of the Integrated Healthcare Technology System, IHITS, in Marsabit and Tharaka Nithi counties have already failed. Endebess MP Robert Pukose voiced what many are wondering. Why push to replace a functioning system with one that's clearly struggling? But that's not the only controversy. IHC Tanoon's company also owns a 5% stake in Adani Enterprises Ltd, the same entity eyeing a $2 billion $257 billion Kenya shillings deal to lease Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, for the next 30 years. In fact, Kisii Senator Richard Onyonka sounded the alarm back in July when this proposal surfaced. Think about it. We're not just talking about a healthcare system, but our main international gateway, potentially leased out for 3 decades. It's like signing away your front door without knowing who's going to be holding the keys. In 2022, IHC invested a massive $2.257 billion Kenya shillings into 3 Adani Group companies, further cementing their influence over Kenya's infrastructure and healthcare sectors. So, what does all this mean for Kenya's future? We've got big players like Adani and IHC moving in, but what's the real cost? Let's explore that next. And trust me, this story is far from over. And here's where things start to get even more tangled. We're not just talking about airports and energy anymore, folks. No, this web stretches across minerals, electricity, and even fuel. And at the center of it all is one question: who really stands to gain? In April, President Ruto sat down with the UAE's Minister for Investment, Mohammed Al-Suwaidi, right here at State House. What was on the table? A financing and investment framework. The goal? Exploring opportunities worth $500 million. That's a cool 64.5 billion in Kenyan shillings. And while it sounds like a win for both sides, let's not forget the backdrop. This meeting was happening amid rising concerns over deals like the Universal Healthcare Coverage (UHC) system, where key players tied to the president are already involved. One of those figures? Adil Khawaja, Ruto's longtime friend and managing partner at Denton's Hamilton, Harrison Matthews. Khawaja played a pivotal role, acting on behalf of Convergens in the controversial UHC deal. Now this raises eyebrows, the same way President Ruto's frequent foreign trips have. In fact, just this past May, after a high-profile state visit to the US, Ruto faced intense scrutiny over the staggering costs of his travels, which often tally up to billions of taxpayer shillings. But during a televised national prayer breakfast, he assured Kenyans that not all these trips are footed by taxpayers. Some, like his US visit, were funded by his friends. And, as it turns out, those friends were the UAE government, with the Kenyan public only shouldering less than 10 million Kenya shillings of the cost. Now, call me curious, but when your biggest trips are sponsored by foreign governments, you've got to wonder, what do those friends expect in return? It's not just a friendly favour after all, especially when the same government is supplying fuel to Kenya through two of its state-owned companies, ADNOC and ENOC, under a controversial government-to-government deal. The closer you look, the more these business ties between Kenya and the UAE seem a little too tight. So, with billions of shillings, critical national assets, and international power players all in the mix, the question is simple. Is Kenya making smart deals for its future, or is someone else already cashing in on our tomorrow? What price are we really paying for these friends? Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of today's episode. If you'd like to support Peter Tosh Williams and the work we're doing here on LifeLens TV, you can buy him a coffee or contribute directly via M-Pesa at 0748660221. Your support helps us continue bringing you the content you love. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey. And remember, you've been watching LifeLens TV, and I'm Jennifer Harrison. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more in-depth looks at stories shaping Kenya and beyond, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Like, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going. And hey, if you've got any burning questions or topics you want us to dive into, let us know. Thanks for watching. Once again, God bless you all.